No sooner have you rung the ornate bell than the face of a lizard woman surfaces from behind a rock up on the ledge before you. Her stare is as sharp as the bolt eyeing you from atop her crossbow.
Stand back and keep your hands off your weapons! Convince me you're no Magister, or draw one last deep breath!
Her eyes go wide with delight upon your mentioning Han.
May the goddess keep you for saving that little Lionheart. Young Han told me the story of his rescue. Oh, you are most welcome indeed.
With one graceful motion, the lizard throws down a tangled mess of vines for you to climb.
Come, ascend to the sanctuary of Amadia. You'll find you're not the only guest here, but the Great Mother provides for all. Be welcome to this sanctuary. Amadia's eye in the storm.
What a pleasant little nest. A nice spot to pass the time. Waiting for the end.
The Red Prince interrupts as you're about to speak.
This woman is a dreamer. I can see the answers spinning in her eyes. Do rest your legs for a bit while I question her. You're too kind.
Red Prince and the Dreamer exchange courteous pleasantries, as if they're finding themselves in a palace hall instead of a death-ridden swamp. She introduces herself as Bahara. To your surprise, they next lie down on the ground in a seemingly warm embrace and fall asleep. What follows, though, is far from peaceful. They claw and thrash as if struggling for dear life, caught in the hold of some hideous nightmare. Then they wake, haggard, exhausted. They speak of a vision, Brahmos, and another red lizard.
Praise the daylight. I am now. There was death in that dream, chasing me like 100 hungry lions. But at least I've new directions. When we escape and find ourselves on the mainland once more, I must search for Brahmos the Wanderer. Then I will finally know the truth. The very secret of my soul.
You are fortunate to have found this place. The hollow marshes swallow life and regurgitate only the dead. My name is Bahara. Like you, I am a sorcerer. But unlike you, I am also a faithful servant of Amadia. Praised be her name, and praised be her starlit eyes. Commendable. And yet she is the most mysterious of the seven. Despite your perusals, no doubt that tome taught you little. So please allow me to enlighten you. Amadia is the Great Mother. She is the goddess in whose womb magic was conceived, from whose sacred body immortal wizards were born. Gratiana, her priestess in this sanctuary, is teaching me her ways. For several years now, I've been her disciple, but she has resided here for centuries, sustained by Amadia's love. I am forbidden to leave my watch, and there is no need for formality. Gratiana will receive you as you are. You'll soon find her. She never strays far from the statue of our goddess. My knowledge is but a pond. Gratiana's is the sea. It is the sea you should speak to. The guests, they call themselves seekers. They're brave people, and friends to sorcerers. But you'll find them a battered band here today, brought low by bloody battle. Magisters, of course. Who else? The Seekers came here to rescue a sorcerer from the fort. They failed. Many fell. They've heard the shriekers shriek. I thank the goddess I'm not haunted by their sound. They knew him to be God-woken. They sought to kindle the divinity slumbering deep within his soul. But Alexander bears no rivals. Only the son can follow the father, or so he is convinced. For him, divinity. For the others, the dungeons. It is truly harrowing to know this man seeks to be the Seven's chosen. To know one's fate is to be fearless. I reside in Amadia's palm. I am hers to shield or hers to crush, and in that knowledge, I am content. Have you never heard of them? From the tales they tell of Brachus Rex? They were living weapons, made of flesh and reared in torture. The pain they endured was so terrible, their screams turned to solid lightning. Turns out the tales are true. The Magisters dug deep and returned these horrors to the surface. As you wish. It is the laboratory of a lunatic. A place removed from mercy and sanity where mad Brachus Rex would experiment to his dark heart's content. There are ruins in the marshes, stonework vultures that perch above the king's long-buried treasure. But his is not a treasure of gold, ruby, and sapphire. It is a treasure of death, weapons, and vile magic. The nights here are long and lonely, but I often listen to my mistress Gratiana speak of days long gone, the heydays of Brachus Rex. Perhaps she will tell you her tales as well. Haunted quagmires is what they are, and what is mired in them is madness. Brachus Rex, he went too far. Source was never meant to be harnessed in weaponry. May Amadia curse his soul for turning creation into destruction.
You're certain it was Verdus?
He said his name. Barely even knew that much. But still...
You still with us?
You tried your best, Han. I'm glad you're safe now.
We aren't really safe here, are we?
Waitress, let me change your dress.
So long as Gareth returns, we will be.
You're alive! Wasn't sure you would be. Samadel, this is the one I told you about.
The dishevelled lizard eyes you with hope, though her hope is tinged with mistrust.
Han tells me you helped him out of Fort Joy. For that, you have my thanks.
We helped each other. That's what sorcerers need to do nowadays.
Can I ask if... Did you happen to meet a man named Gareth on your way here?
He'll be back, Samadel. I know he will. He has to.
He has to, indeed. We need our leader. And if he doesn't return with help soon, we haven't a hope. Have you heard of shriekers?
Han looks down with a flinch. Samadel reaches out, grasping his hand. Her jaw tightens.
They're weapons that can kill with a screech. The Magisters patchwork them from living sorcerers. Don't misunderstand me. We're not afraid to fight, but we are powerless against shriekers. The priestess at the shrine told Gareth some ancient secrets, some defenses that could be found in Brachus's armory, and he went there, in the hopes of finding it, whatever it is. You're kind to offer, but you'd best talk to Gareth's squire, Exeter. He'll know where your talents can be most used.
Save your strength.
Now, Han, let's take a look at your nasty leg injury.
Catch you later, Skipper. It's good you're here.
Leave me be.
By Lucian's locks, stop fidgeting, lad.
Focus on your breathing, Jules.
Please!
Slow and
It
deep.
hurts!
The young woman chews her lower lip as she observes the injured before her. She bends to grab a rag, wiping her blood-smeared hands. She looks up and sees you.
If you're looking for healing, sorcerer, well, there's not much I can do.
The woman wrings the blood-stained rag in her hands anxiously.
Magisters aren't known for their mercy. Many of us died. And the ones here will likely follow the same fate, by a slower road.
By Lucian's locks, stop fidgeting, lad.
The Magisters sank our ship. Then we ran into more of them on the shore. They had these shrieker monstrosities. They're these wretched beings mounted on crucifixes. They nearly wiped us out with a single blow. We fled, those of us who still could. I've done all I can. Their wounds are too great. All I can offer them now is prayer and a cup of water. If you know a way, I'd be beyond grateful. Magic? All I've got is my own two hands and...
She trails off and limply gestures to her paltry makeshift infirmary.
I'm not even a healer. Ours was killed in the attack. I'm just a cook. Do what you will. Just don't cause them any more suffering. Claude, are you still with us?
Please! It hurts!
In an instant, my wounds have all but vanished. I didn't think. I was certain I wouldn't. Thank you.
It needs to be changed.
You're fine, I swear. See to the others.
The Magister flagship. It has ballastay that tore our ship into kindling. A shard from our own mast pierced my side. I'm lucky the others managed to haul me all the way here. Especially after I saw what the Magisters did to those of us they captured.
He shudders at the memory.
They turn the living into shriekers. Crucified wretches that unleash pure destruction on anyone who tries to pass. Nobody survives those things. I wish I had a fitting way to thank the person who saved my life.
I swear.
As it is, all I can offer is, well, it's not much, but maybe you'll find some use for it. Thank you.
He has cheated death. Thank you, stranger.
I feel better.
By Lucian's locks, stop fidgeting, lad.
Claude, are you still with us?
By Lucian's locks.
You healed me. How did you... Oh, never mind. I don't care how. I only care that today won't be my last.
He nods with a determined grimace.
A lot of what happened was a blur after I was hit. But I do remember the screams. From those shrieker monstrosities and my own brethren screaming in pain. Those Magisters are gonna pay in blood for what they did to us. If my mother were here,
She'd box my ears for not being able to thank you properly. Though I reckon that walloping from the Reds was punishment enough. Take this, at least. It'll have to do. Thank you.
What?
Bring them all back from the brink.
What?
I'm alive! I'm alive!
The lizard holds a crimson-soaked rag against his side. He looks up as you approach, his expression oddly serene.
Magisters, they found our camp near the old harbour and unleashed hell upon us. I'm lucky in a way. I was wounded by an arrow. It wasn't just sword and spear the Magisters used on us. No, they had these weapons. Living beings, depleted of source and crucified, pathetic to look at until... the power that they unleashed. There was nothing we could do. Only run. Shriekers they're called. I can still hear that sound they uttered. Makes my scales crawl.
Sir Gareth is looking for a way to defeat them now. Let us hope he finds it.
We are fortunate indeed to have you.
You've healed us. All of us. I owe you a debt. We all do.
He lands a comradely slap on your back. His strength has definitely returned.
Don't you doubt it. This old war serpent's still got some fight left in him, especially now that wound is healed. The Magisters attacked our camp back at the harbour. I caught one of their arrows right in my side. That would have been a slow death. I've seen it before.
By Lucian's locks, stop fidgeting, lad.
They're gonna be all right. Thank you. Thank you. Gods above, thank you.
The fog is lifting.
Our shield speaks, Quercus. Prick up your phantom ears. Ask away, shield. Oh, Quercus, it wants answers. As if it is the first creature to ponder the big questions of the universe. What tree did the great acorn fall from? Where did that tree come from, if not a greater acorn? Could you build a nest great enough to store the great acorn for the winter? Some questions have no answers. Quercus, why is that so difficult to understand? The great acorn will come. It will destroy the world, and squirrels will reign supreme forever. I fail to see what's so difficult to grasp. Indeed, Quercus. Let's be off.
Most of this is scrap.
A grim-faced man sifts through a pile of badly damaged weapons, salvaging the repairable, ditching the broken. He picks up a rapier, the blade nicked and splintered, the hilt twisted.
I shudder to think what kind of sewing circles you frequent, but I'm doing my best with what I have. Here, see for yourself.
He holds the damaged blade up to the light.
This was Halorn's blade. It was his first, it was also his last. He didn't intend to die here, but die here he did. He was an ordinary soul with an extraordinary heart, Halorn, and he died for what he believed. What did Halorn believe in? He believed in truth. He believed in hope. He believed that Alexander is a killer of Godwoken. I believe that on one point at least, he was right.
The point breaks away, leaving a jagged edge. The sword is shorter now, but it'll do more damage.
Who are you?
He realizes, to his surprise, that he holds the weapon in his hand, ready for battle. He smiles to himself, tucks the weapon away, and gets back to work.
bless and protect your humble...
I must say, I was hoping to enjoy a smug advantage over everyone else. Lacking skin may make me a target for mortals, but I am mercifully immune to mosquitoes. However, they are infuriating when they get in one's skull. I can barely hear myself think. I fell victim to the enemy of all great minds. Fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change. These are the things that poison civilizations. I was on the cusp of a glorious breakthrough, but my king's fear held me back. I discovered a veil hanging across the universe, a barrier of pure source. It was amazing, the kind of discovery on which a civilization turns. Who knows what secrets may have been hidden behind that curtain? But my king forbade me from further investigation. Do you know, I never thought to ask, between him purging me and casting me into a traitor's tomb. What a foolish oversight! If only I'd had your prescience and curiosity, I could have saved myself centuries of pondering that very question. Well, certainly he was not pleased with my insistence that we investigate. But the king's word is law. Was law. But the reason I was purged was slightly less intellectual. After the king refused to let me investigate the veil, I brought the issue up with others. The 7 lords. Beneath the king in authority, but far above me. I brought them my research. I showed them everything. I had hoped they would help me convince the king of his error, but before they or I could act, I was arrested and, well, my sentence was carried out. I mean, yes, I suppose you could have drained the power from it, but that would have weakened it significantly. It would be quite irresponsible. After all, the power of the thing is not the point. It hid something. Who knows what that might have been? The secrets to the universe could have lain behind that curtain, but I was not given the chance to find out. Now, I fear I never will. He ceased to be my king the moment he turned on me. I did nothing wrong. All I wanted was to further the knowledge of the Eternals. Who knows? Had I been allowed to continue my studies, perhaps I could have warded off whatever catastrophe befell them.
The skeleton stands quietly for a moment.
I'm not sure. Centuries in a tomb can warp one's memory. I remember the big things, of course. My library, my home, my king, my family. But the rest, it's all covered in a fog. And the more I see of this world, the thicker that fog seems to get.
More junk.
They came rather low in my life, alas. My wife and daughter always had to compete with my work for my attention, and my work was always stiff competition. They were often neglected. I wonder how many more years they spent neglected before, well, before whatever happened, happened. Indeed you cannot. Nothing in this world compares to it. We crafted our homes from stone and crystal, using the power of the universe itself to keep them in place. Your people, on the other hand, seem quite content to sit about in smoking hovels, held together by straw and filth. It's a mercy I don't have a nose. I cannot imagine how you stand it. I was a scholar, researching the secrets of the universe. Had I been allowed to proceed, my people could have ascended to godhood as one. An entire race of deities, with a perfect understanding of the universe. It would have solved all of our problems. Once I would have boasted that it was the best form of government. Indeed, it was the only form of government we knew. Living forever under the rule of a wise king is one thing. But if that king should turn into a despot, if he should reject philosophy and the natural arts for the sake of power, well, I cannot imagine a worse torture. Given enough time, I could walk from this island to the shore, but time is in short supply. I must procure a quick way off this island, and that means procuring a ship. Perhaps these seekers would know more. I imagine they are quite keen to leave too.
Bless and protect your humble servant.
Yes, by all means, let us partake in the art of conversation. Oh, don't tell me you've never heard the stories. The tale of my birth has been a bedtime staple for years, a dinner party favorite. Cute. Very well then, listen closely. One day a red sun rose, turning the desert sands into a blood-colored sea. When my mother, roused from dreams, beheld this crimson dawn, she knew the time had come and promptly gave birth to me. The sun rose to its zenith, but there settled, refused to descend towards the beckoning dusk. Instead, she hung there for 7 days and 7 bright, starless nights. So enamored was she with her little red prince. Indeed, I've been a married man since the day I was born, for they call me the spouse of the sun. She who is all life and beauty, she whose colour I wear not in cloth, but in skin.
He laughs wryly, baring rows of shark-like teeth.
There are those who believe that little legend, you know. I'm not one of them. To tell you the truth, I've no idea why I'm red, but I do fancy I was rather lucky to be born a prince. My heritage made people celebrate my uniqueness. Had I been common-born, they might have just drowned me in a well. Why, thank you. You'll find I don't live up to expectations with remarkable frequency. Case in point is that I have a high opinion of myself because of my unparalleled skills and intellect, not because of the bed I was born in. Though I won't go so far as to deny absolute wealth has its perks. Absolute power, for instance. No wonder I seek my way back to the throne. More glorious than you could ever imagine. More glorious than I wish to recall here. Ask me again once we escape, and I'll tell you tales that will last us 1,000 nights.
The Red Prince takes on a reserved air, and you've the feeling he'd blush if such a thing could be noticed.
Secret of my soul, I said. What poppycock. Didn't sound like me at all, not in the slightest. So drop it. Nothing's changed but for our surroundings. We're still on an island, in dire need of making for the mainland. Perhaps we simply ought to hug the coast in search of a ship.
The air out here's a damn sight better than in Fort Joy, eh? Lonely? I wouldn't think so. I went from life in the regiment, to life in the pack, to life on the road with you. I haven't had time to be lonely.
He pauses, reddening slightly as he looks at you curiously.
Unless, wait. What did you mean exactly?
Ifan blushes fiercely and looks at the distant horizon, scuffing his boot awkwardly on the ground.
Let's talk about that another time. A time that's not, now. You know, later.
As he turns away in an uncharacteristically clumsy manner, you see that his eyes are bright, and the hint of a smile hides within his beard.
This is ruined.
I'd say we should stop to talk, but I'm swamped. don't make much of it one way or the other, but the farther we get away from the joy, the better.
There's got to be a way off this island.
Sure thing, Chief. What's up?
She bats her eyelashes coquettishly over black eyes in grey sockets.
Just for you, Chief. Okay, I don't. Look, I know it was bad, okay? I know. You don't have to tell me. I'm sorry, I just want to move on.
The air out here's a damn sight better than in Fort Joy, eh? I've still got a contract to fulfill. But after that, getting the hell off this island sounds good.
Ifan claps you on the shoulder and beams at you, affection for you plain in his eyes.
Out of the frying pan and into... You know what? You've heard that one before, so let's try a new one. Shite's all mucked up. Yeah, it seems more to the point, doesn't it? Well, it just so happens that getting off islands is my speciality. I'm like the Aelus of escaping islands. Get it? Aelus! No? Fine, you get the gist though. So, here's the thing. Where there's a sea, there's boats. Boom. Simple as that. We'll find one docked, or one will sail by, and... Well, as you probably figured, I'm good at stealing boats.
Before you stands a figure, her body wreathed in cloth. All you can see of her eyes are two dark holes in an ornate mask.
Armadia's blessings, child. I have not seen this face in our sanctuary before. Pray, who are you? I am pleased to see you've rid yourself of your chains. Your physical chains, at least. Please, be welcome. I am Gratiana, priestess of Armadia. It is a privilege to welcome you to her sanctuary from Brachus's vile swamps.
She pauses for a moment before answering.
We must always strive to help those who suffer. For many years I did not understand that simple truth. For many more, I have tried to right the wrongs of my past.
Despite the mask, you can feel her expression harden.
Time is a river, ever slipping by. It does no good to mourn what's gone before, only to appreciate where the current carries us. In this place I can worship the goddess Armadia and help those who come to me for aid. I live a good life. The person that I was is dead.
So close your sweet eyes and rest your wee head.
The woman freezes in place and starts to stutter.
It was nothing. Simply a turn of phrase. Nothing more. You know nothing. Nothing of my life. Nothing of the things I've seen. Nothing of the things I've done.
She turns away from you in a swirl of robes. As your hand wraps around her arm, your fingers squeeze down not on skin and flesh, but on solid bone. Through her robes, you can feel that she's nothing but a skeleton.
No! Don't touch me! Let me go!
Wish, Bonnie Baron, now don't you cry. The birds are asleep.
Intention is worthless when actions cause harm. All I asked was to be left in peace.
You're safe in bed. So close your sweet eyes and rest.
She flinches slightly when you mention her true self, but remains composed.
This mask, is the last vestige of humanity that remains, the only thing that renders me fair to my people.
Smoke and screams, echoes of death. Gareth.
She stares at you for a moment before looking away, turning back to the face of the goddess.
There are more important stories than mine. The Seekers, the Magisters, these are the tales of this world. Surviving as best they can. They were hit hard by the Magisters.
She glances towards the girl sitting on a stool nearby, gently rocking back and forth.
It's taken its toll. They arrived wounded, but since their leader has disappeared into the swamps, they are truly broken.
Echoes of death.
The fool ran into the swamps. He pestered me for aid against the Shriekers, and when I finally told him of a cache of Brachus's soul-forged weapons, he rushed away to find it. A bold move, but ill-advised. Unless he returns with weapons enough, I fear none of these Seekers will leave this island with air in their lungs. Gladly, but I fear you'll fare no better than the Seeker. North of here you'll find the ruins of Brachus's source armory. Nothing in this land can counter the Shrieker's power like those weapons. Without them, the Seekers are truly hopeless. Walk ever in Armadia's grace, child. Please,
Smoke
Armadia,
and screams.
bless and protect
Echoes of
your
death.
humble servant. Hello again, child. What brings you here? Armadia is the blessed mother of magic. All that use it can trace their skill back to her grace. This is her shrine. She has sustained me here for many years, even when the evils of Brachus's swamp threatened to drown me. It was not always thus. This swamp was once a rich, lush land before he came, before Brachus. He is no more, thank the goddess. It has been many centuries since he walked Riverlone, although he still casts a shadow over this land. He ruled this realm as a tyrant and beast. He stole its source and left only death. On this island he built and tested his weapons. These marshes were a playground for he and his necromancers. Many unfortunate souls were brought here. Blessed were those who died quickly, or died at all. The tales do him no justice. He was cruel, greedy, and stripped this land of all life. He was truly a horror. Indeed, the Magisters have even taken Brachus's worst tools. First, the purging ones, and now those Shriekers. Without something more powerful than these sticks the Seekers are armed with, those crucified monstrosities will kill them to a man. Their leader, Gareth, also demanded that I must do something. I argued against it, but he was very insistent. I told him of Brachus's cache of soul-forged weapons, arms not even the Shriekers could stand against. He ventured out to find them, but has not returned. I fear for these souls, if he has come to any harm in the marsh. Without the wands he seeks, not one will escape this island. He set off north, to the ruins of Brachus's source armory, but there is no way to know what he found there. Even if he survived the swamps. Walk ever in Armadia's grace, child. Hello again, child. What brings you here?
Smoke and screams, echoes of death.
We must always strive to help those who suffer. For many years I did not understand that simple truth. For many more, I have tried to right the wrongs of my past. You are bound on one side by marshes filled with dead souls and living voidwoken. You are bound on the other by a fort where death is mercy. All else is sea, but you will find no boat that will aid you. I was abandoned. Yes, but it was not always thus. This marsh was once a rich, lush land, before he came, before Brachus. I have been here for many years. It has given me a lot of time to reflect on the past and learn from it. In truth, the torments of Brachus and of these magisters were not so different. Both purged source from this land. Indeed, the magisters have even taken Brachus's worst tools. First, the purging ones, and now those shriekers. Without something more powerful than these sticks the Seekers are armed with, those crucified monstrosities will kill them to a man. Walk ever in Armadia's grace, child.
The birds are asleep, the moon's in the sky.
Hold up. I've got to take care of some business. Friend, how does life find you?
Well, I'll be, if it ain't the beast of the sea. Stories of your beard alone fly across Riverland like flocks of crows. Fair a bit more inland than you'd prefer, yeah?
Ain't I know it, ain't I know it.
Beast claps him on the back and chuckles heartily. If they hadn't met just a moment ago, you might think the dwarves lifelong friends.
I don't want to intrude, seeing as how you got your own trials and travails, but I don't suppose you've been to Reaper's Coast of late. Maybe heard of a fella named, what was it? Lohar?
Lohar? Yeah, I know of the guy, from back when I was looking for fishing work out in Driftwood. He's, how shall I say, an entrepreneur. Still out there a bit. Had his stubby fingers and a lot of pies, if you get my meaning.
Sounds like a man I'd buy 2 flagons of mead for. One for drinking and one for toasting. I got something for him. I'll tell him you sent your regards, Mr.
It's Duggan it is. Oh, and this here's Leah. You gotta be sick of that collar. Leah, you can get it fixed up, yeah?
Sure thing.
Bet you're glad to be rid of it. Amazing to meet the beast in flesh. Let's see if we can get you back to sea. Fighting the good fight, yeah? Your lungs have got to be starved for the salt air.
Beast chortles and nods, then passes you a sly wink. Such a charm bucket.
Out of the frying pan and into... You know what? You've heard that one before, so let's try a new one. Shite's all mucked up. Yeah, it seems more to the point, doesn't it?
Bless and protect your humble servant.
Duggan stands over Leia, singing softly as she mutters about Gareth.
There, lass. Don't you worry. Gareth will be back soon. You'll see. He'll be back.
Duggan stands over Leia, singing softly as she mutters about Gareth.
There, lass.
Yes, you're safe in bed. So close your sweet eyes and rest.
Amidst the placid little pond, the face of a goddess lies half submerged in the water. Rivulets stream from her deep-set eyes like endless cascades of sunlit tears. You feel peaceful in her presence, soothed somehow by an intangible comfort. As you gaze upon her loving face, you find yourself drawn into a trance-like state. A voice seems to reach you from within your mind and from the furthest reaches of the stars. Its whispers caress you like a breeze. The voice grows stronger, like a breeze picking up. What were whispers become words.
My children, my children. Gone are my children. Dead are they in the cradle I have wrought.
A feeling of indescribable sadness assails you. It feels like your heart merges with the spirits, torn together by a coil of thorns.
My child, weep with me for the mother who has lost. Weep with me and bathe in the tears of Amadia.
You feel the goddess's presence surround you, feel her nestle you tenderly like a mother. The intensity of her embrace deepens. Never since the unremembered days of childhood have you been so enveloped in maternal safety.
My child, I love you. My own. I will guard you. Wander where you will, and cherish the kiss of Amadia.
As suddenly as it came, the voice is gone, and you wake from its presence as if from dream-filled slumber. The pond now shines with an inner light, and standing in its waters, you feel rejuvenated, pure, as if born anew.
Amadia's grace.
Safe in bed.
Blessings upon this day.
So close your sweet eyes and rest your wee head.
By Amadia's grace, what did you do? This is incredible. In all my years, I've never seen the goddess bestow her blessing on someone. I am humbled to be in your presence. Perhaps once, when the 7 gods were still strong. But it has been many years since this was anything other than a pond for me to pray at. Amadia's strength waned when the divine Lucian accepted the power of the 7. This is most unusual. Truly we are blessed to know you. If Amadia favors you, that is all I need to know. Go in peace, sister.
Wisht, bonny bairn, now don't you cry. The birds are
Please,
asleep.
Amadia, bless and protect your humble servant.
The 7 watch o'er us. You're safe in bed.
Please, Amadia.
A young man in oversized armor paces around a table covered with a spread of maps, his face a tight scowl of frustration.
Every approach blocked. Oh, damn it. What good are battle tactics against those things anyway?
He glances up. In quick succession, he becomes aware of both your presence and the fact that you're not a familiar face.
Who the blazes are you? As am I, Sebille, I'm sure. On the run from Fort Joy, are you? A seeker can always recognize a sorcerer when they see one. You meant Verdus? Oh, then he's as good as dead. We're the seekers he spoke of. We were supposed to free him. Instead, we've failed him. You, a Godwoken? Surely not. Though if Verdus said so, you could be important. But there's no way to be certain until we've left this blasted island behind us.
The birds are asleep.
Verdus was Godwoken. He was a powerful sorcerer, in the vein of Lucian the Divine. He had the potential to succeed Lucian if he mastered his powers. But now that won't happen. If you're the same as Verdus, then we have to get you away from this place. Someone's been killing the few Godwoken that are out here. Likely that dog Alexander. He's a Godwoken too. A failed one as far as I'm concerned. I can imagine he won't want any upstart Godwoken taking what he figures to be his birthright.
Echoes of death.
The young man anxiously fidgets with his curved bow. You've found a matter close to his heart, evidently.
That's easier said than done, I'm afraid. Much easier said. Yeah, the Magisters have us cornered. They have these weapons called Shriekers. If we try to go against them unprepared, we're dead. We've lost many already. There's weapons, ancient devices that can counter those things. Our leader, Sir Gareth, set out to find them so we could break the Magister blockade and escape this island. But he hasn't returned. If Sir Gareth doesn't come back with those weapons in tow, well, this island will be our grave.
Echoes of death. Gareth.
Sir Gareth? He's the finest seeker I know. I'm honored to serve as his squire. He wouldn't let us down. Not unless something's gone horribly wrong.
The young man throws a furtive glance towards the shrine looming out of the water nearby, then leans in to whisper.
The masked priestess, Gratiana. She gave us shelter here and told Sir Gareth how to stop the Shriekers. But she unnerves me. Speak to her if you wish. She may know more. You'll help us?
His shoulders visibly relax, the weighty armor upon them settling with a clink.
Thank you. Allies are in short supply in this place. If you help us, I promise, we'll get you as far away from this place as possible. Please, ask. Whatever helps. We came to free an elf called Verdus from Fort Joy. He was a Godwoken. He could have been the next divine, but we failed him. None. He set out to find those source weapons, and that's the last we saw of him. The Magister flagship, the Lady Vengeance, she's anchored at the old harbour. Once the way is clear, we're to take her and get the hell out of here. Well, before there's a divine, there must be a Godwoken. Only a special few among sorcerers have this potential. Without them, a true successor to Lucian will never rise.
So close your sweet eyes and rest your wee head.